At exactly 3 a.m., when the corridors of the Yulong Crown Hotel were supposed to be asleep, when the cameras should have captured nothing but silence, something happened that would later send investigators, staff members, and even seasoned reporters spiraling into disbelief. Because at 3 a.m., Menglong, the same actor whose airport footage raised alarms, whose ankle bracelet wasn't a fashion choice, whose shadow never quite followed the laws of physics, ordered something from room service that no hotel menu contained. Not then. Not now. Not ever. And the receipt he left behind, the one printed by a machine that never lies, contained a timestamp that shouldn't exist, a signature that didn't match his own hand, and a line item that the hotel's system didn't have the ability to produce. But the story doesn't begin with the receipt. It begins with the whispering sound the night shift concierge heard before the order was even placed, a breathy, static-coated murmur that crawled from the walls behind the front desk, the same eerie texture that investigators had previously identified in the cleaner confession leak. A frequency too low for human vocal cords. A sound too close to the one behind him in the airport footage. The concierge's name was Fangyiru, and she was the type who didn't scare easily. Her father was a police officer. Her brother a firefighter. And she had worked nights for 6 years, seen everything from drunken executives to midnight breakups in the lobby. But she had never seen a guest request food before the phone rang. Yes, before. Because the order appeared in the system first, glowing on her screen at 2:59 and 57 seconds a.m., 3 seconds before the concierge phone started ringing. The phone hadn't even vibrated. No one dialed. But the order was there. Room 1509, Menglong. Request, black tray special. Notes, no reflections. That was the first error. The Yulong Crown Hotel had no black tray special. It never had. Their trays were silver, standard, polished steel. The second error. The room number. It was registered to Menglong, yes, but according to the system, he hadn't checked in yet. And the third error. No reflections. What food required, avoiding reflections? Iru stared at the screen until the phone finally rang, though she already knew what name would appear. Room 1509. Her fingers trembled as she picked up. Front desk, she whispered. And then came silence. Not peaceful silence. Not empty silence. It was the kind of silence that felt occupied. Then, faintly, almost like the sound of someone speaking from behind a thick glass wall, a voice slipped through. Bring it quickly. It sounded like Menglong. But slower. Lower. Stretched. As though someone else was puppeteering his voice. The call ended without a click. For hours afterward, Iru would swear she heard another voice overlapping his, just 1/2 second behind, like an echo trying to catch up. She tried calling back. No answer. So she printed the receipt, the one that later made headlines, and sent a staff member to deliver the non-existent order. That staff member was Chin Hao, a young bellboy with an enthusiasm unshaken by long shifts and rich guests who barked commands like royalty. He was friendly, fast, and usually fearless. But when he walked toward the elevator, something in him hesitated. Because the deeper he ventured into the hotel hallway, the more he sensed a strange weight pressing down on him, not fear, not anxiety, but gravity itself. The lights flickered once. Then twice. Then stayed dimmer than before. He assumed it was a power issue, until he noticed that his reflection in the elevator door lagged by 1/2 second. Just like the shadow man reports from previous Menglong sightings. Just like the behavior of his figure in the infamous parking garage footage. Just like the silhouette that moved before he did in the leaked security clip. Chin Hao stepped back. His reflection did not. Instead, the reflection raised an arm, palm outward, as if trying to warn him. He froze. The elevator calmly opened. And inside was nothing. Just an empty metal box, humming, waiting, like a mouth wanting to swallow him whole. Hao stepped inside anyway, clutching the tray, which was empty, because no food had been prepared. The elevator rose. Floor 10. Floor 11. Floor 12. Then it slowed. Stopped. Somewhere between 13 and 14. The lights inside went out, replaced by the pale glow of the emergency lighting, soft and blue. In this glow, Hao could see his reflection again, but this time it wasn't lagging. It wasn't moving at all. It stood still, staring back at him, eyes darker than the hotel walls, mouth slightly open as if silently screaming. Hao reached toward it. The elevator jerked violently and shot upward. When it finally reached floor 15, Hao stumbled out. The hallway lights were out. All except one, the one flickering outside room 1509. He walked toward it. Each step made the corridor feel longer, stretching, warping, widening. As if the building itself did not want him reaching that door. But he reached it anyway. He knocked twice. Silence. He knocked again. A voice answered. It was Menglong's voice, but not the version fans knew from dramas or interviews. This voice sounded exhausted, empty, as though it had been talking for hours before Hao arrived. Come in, it said. Except the voice didn't come from behind the door, it came from somewhere to the left, as if leaking from the wall. Hao opened the door slowly. And what he saw inside would later become the subject of every hotel staff meeting, every investigator briefing, every forum thread that followed. Because the room was ice cold. And dark. But not empty. Something was sitting in the chair by the window. A figure. Not entirely visible. Not entirely invisible. Like someone had erased parts of it with a digital tool, pieces of an image that refused to load. A human outline with fragments missing. The shoulders blurred, the face dim, the hands too long, too thin. But the unmistakable thing was this. Its ankle shimmered. The same place where Menglong's bracelet had been spotted in multiple leaks. The bracelet fans believed was a tracking device. The device people claimed was glowing when he wasn't moving. This thing had the same glow. The same pulse. The same hum. Hao's breath caught. The figure turned its head, not smoothly, not naturally, but in a sequence of static-like jerks. Like watching a corrupted video frame skip forward. And where the face should have been, there was nothing. Just a smudged shadow. The voice that answered the phone came from that shadow. You're late. Hao dropped the tray. It clattered. The figure twitched. And for a split second, just a moment, the room brightened enough for Hao to see what lay on the bed. Another figure. Another presence. But this one was Menglong. Or rather, it looked exactly like him. Except he was asleep. Or unconscious. Or something worse. His chest rose faintly. His hands were limp. A dark mark spread along his neck, as if something had pressed there too long. And beside him, the receipt. The one Iru had printed. The one Hao carried. Except this version wasn't blank. It contained 3 items. 1. Black tray special, 3 a.m. 2. Service fee, 3 a.m. 3. Room occupied by 2 entities. But the timestamp was wrong. It read 2:59 a.m., not 3 a.m. That was impossible. The system had printed it after the order appeared at 3 o'clock. This receipt had been printed before the order was placed. Hao grabbed it. The figure in the chair snapped its attention toward him, its head flipping upward in a sharp, unnatural movement. Return that, it whispered. But the whisper wasn't alone. It layered. Echoed. Doubled. Like something else was speaking underneath the voice. Hao ran. He didn't look back. Not when the lights flickered violently. Not when the hallway stretched again. Not when the elevator door closed just in time. Not when he heard the pounding, or whatever that sound was, racing down the hall after him. He sprinted across the lobby, crashed into the front desk, and dropped the receipt at Iru's feet. When she picked it up, it was warm. As if freshly printed. But the timestamp was still wrong. The ink was still smudged. And at the bottom, a signature, one that didn't match any sample of Menglong's writing, spelled out. I didn't order it. Investigators spent months trying to decode what happened. Experts analyzed the hotel's digital logs and found discrepancies. Duplicate timestamps, overlapping entries, corrupted CCTV frames showing 2 men walking into the room hours apart, but both looking like Menglong. Audio specialists enhanced the hallway sound recordings and found whispers matching the airport clip. And the cleaner who previously confessed said, that thing in room 1509, it wasn't new. It has been following him. Fans replayed these stories and noticed a pattern. Wherever Menglong went, whenever he appeared, in every leaked clip, every strange silence, every reflection mismatch, there was always a second presence. A shadow. A duplicate. A glitch in the world around him. And now the hotel had the receipt to prove it. An order no human could have placed. For a dish no human could have eaten. Delivered at a time that never existed. The black tray special. 3 minutes before 3. For a room meant for 1 guest. But occupied by 2. And only one of them walked out. Something happened the moment Hao slammed the receipt on the counter, something the hotel security logs later categorized as electrical disturbance, but the witnesses had a better word for it. A ripple. Like the air folded. Like the room inhaled. The chandelier above the lobby trembled, each crystal piece vibrating at a low frequency, chiming softly. No wind. No movement. Just that eerie trembling, like invisible fingers running over the glass. Iru felt her skin prick with cold. She stared at Hao, whose chest rose and fell unnaturally fast, as though he had sprinted through thick water. Hao, your face, she breathed. His cheek was marked. A smudge. A perfect handprint. But the fingers were too long. And the thumbprint was on the opposite side, backwards. Hao touched his cheek as if noticing it for the first time. I didn't feel anything touch me, he whispered. But his voice trembled. He was lying, or trying to believe his own lie. The lights flickered again. Security guard Mr. Liang, who had been at the far side of the lobby, rushed toward them, holding a walkie-talkie crackling with static. But before he reached the desk, the walkie-talkie hissed, crackled, then a distorted voice slid through the speaker. Return the order. It was Menglong's voice. And another voice beneath it. Lower. Slower. Shaking the device like the growl of something underground. Liang dropped it as if it were burning his hand. The hotel lobby suddenly felt too small, like the walls were leaning inward, listening. Did you see him in the room? Iru asked Hao. He didn't reply. His eyes drifted past her, toward the elevator he had just escaped. The doors were still open. The interior was dark. And if anyone had looked closely, they might have noticed that the faint reflection in its metal panel wasn't matching any human movement in the lobby. It wasn't him, Hao whispered finally. Not all of him. He didn't know what he meant, but something inside him did. The receipt lay between them like a cursed object. The timestamp 2:59 gaped like a mocking smile, taunting the reality around them. Suddenly, the printer behind the front desk sputtered. Then again. Then again. Papers began to slide out. Not receipts, blank slips. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Pouring out like a waterfall of white, flooding the desk, spilling over the counter, hitting the floor. Each blank. Each warm. Each smelling faintly like burnt metal. Iru panicked and unplugged the machine. It kept printing. Liang, backing away, whispered, "This hotel is haunted." But haunted wasn't the right word. The cameras told the real truth. Because up in the security room, unattended, the monitors switched on by themselves. The camera for floor 15 glowed. The hallway was empty. Then the glare fuzzed and distorted, and slowly, painfully slowly, a shape formed. A silhouette. Tall. Slender. Head tilted at an unnatural angle. Facing the camera. Then it lifted a hand. The screen went black. Back in the lobby, Hao sank to the floor, gripping his hair. He wasn't asleep, he whispered. The real Menglong. On the bed. He wasn't asleep. Iru froze. What do you mean? Hao's voice cracked. His eyes were open. The chandelier above them shuddered violently this time, a cascade of crystal clinking like the inside of a glass storm. Then something else happened, something none of them could deny or rationalize later. The elevator dinged. Not the one Hao came from. The other one. The doors slid open. And a tray rolled out. A silver tray. Polished. Reflective. The exact kind the hotel used. But there was nothing on top of it. Just an imprint. Something had been there moments earlier, something heavy enough to leave a faint circular stain, like moisture or heat. The tray rolled a few inches, then stopped, as though pushed. Or released. Hao's breath turned shallow. That's not the tray I delivered. There was nothing to deliver. Liang approached it. Slowly. Cautiously. As he bent to touch it, the tray's surface shifted, not physically, but visually. A ripple passed across it like ink dropped into water. Then an image appeared. Not clear. Not fully formed. Just a silhouette reflecting back. But the silhouette wasn't Liang's. It wasn't Iru's. It wasn't Hao's. It was the figure from room 1509. Same outline. Same missing face. Same long fingers. The tray vibrated, screeching lightly on the marble floor. Liang jerked back. But the reflection stayed. That thing is still in the room, Iru whispered. Before anyone could respond, the lobby phone rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. No caller ID. Just 1509. Iru reached for it. Hao grabbed her wrist. Don't. But she answered anyway. The line carried no static this time. No distortion. Just breathing. Slow. Deliberate. Awake. Then Menglong's voice, the real one, familiar from interviews, spoke clearly. Don't believe what you saw. Don't trust what you think you know. And whatever you do, don't come upstairs. Another voice overlapped. Do not interfere. The line cut. The printer stopped. The light steadied. The tray's reflection vanished. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Too normal. Then the lobby doors, which were locked for the night, slid open with a hiss. Cold air rushed in. And at the entrance, standing perfectly still under the soft glow of the hotel lights, was a man. A man wearing the exact clothes Menglong wore in the CCTV clip from the airport. Head lowered. Shoulders still. His ankle faintly glowing. Hao whispered, that's him. Liang whispered, no, it's not. Because the figure lifted its head. And where Menglong's eyes should have been, there were 2 perfect circles of pitch black. Not holes. Not shadows. Just void. The figure turned slowly and pointed upward, toward the floor where room 1509 waited. Toward whatever was inside. Then it whispered the same words the printer had been spitting in timestamp glitches. 3 minutes before 3. The doors closed. The figure vanished. Not walked away. Not faded. Just disappeared, like a cutscene in a corrupted video. The hotel fell silent. And the receipt on the floor curled at the edges, turning dark, as though burnt from within.